So at long last, the civil war in England had come to an end, and their peace could finally prosper within the country. In the previous years, not only had the country been war torn, but since the conflict picked up its momentum in the 1250s, a terrible famine had struck the land. And now in 1267, people began to write poems saying how wonderful the land is. The summer was beautiful, the woods were blooming, the land was rich with life, the grass was green, the stock could eat well, and everyone could be fattened after such a terrible time. With the first
Yeah.
that you know for a fact they definitely won a crusade. But a little known fact that you might not know is that he actually was not supposed to go on the crusade. His father Henry wasn't going to go, and Edward was not intended to go. It was his younger brother Edmund who they initially wanted to go on crusade in place of his father Henry III. The reason that nobody wanted Edward to go on crusade was because he had become the stabilizing force inside of England after the tumultuous civil war that had gone and the 18-month conflict that had followed it. Basically, all that was included in the Civil War. So he was the one who not only put an end to it, defeated Simon de Montfort, rescued his father from captivity, and established the royalty as a main strength in England. Pete, the Pope, and his father both felt that if he was gone away out of England, the country would quickly descend into chaos. He was also the one who put into motion the action of mercy towards the rebels to help balance out the situation. A lot of the rebels of Ely also did not want to go on crusade because they felt that the Pope and Henry were still working against them as a they felt they were using the crusade as an excuse to get Englishmen to leave their native land and go fight in foreign lands, and they could bring in foreigners to take their place at home. However, Edward had his own reasons for wishing to go on crusade. One reason would be the politics that would follow for the next few years in England would be tedious and or boring. He was still a young man and wanted to go out and engage in combat with an enemy. Now, they hosted several tournaments at the end of 1270 to rejoice the peace that had come and the prosperity that was coming forth for the kingdom, but they still wanted some actual combat. A crusade was a good reason to do this. Not only, as we have previously mentioned, had Henry III said he desired to go on one in previous years, the Pope would call for one in 1263, but during the time, England was engaged in deep civil war, so the call fell on deaf ears and nobody wanted to go. Now there was not only the opportunity, but Edward was the man, if any, to lead a crusade at this time from outside of England. His brother Edmund, even though not much younger than him, had not had the combative experience that Edward had. He didn't have the tournament experience that Edward had. His father Henry did not have the military success that he had. So if you want a warrior in England to lead you, the best person inside of England at the time will be none other than Edward. And if anybody's wondering why people were so eager to go on a crusade if they just had a long civil war in their own country, there were several reasons actually. One, there were the religious reasons for it. First off, people felt that bloodshed of their fellow Englishmen was wrong, and a way to redeem themselves was by shedding the blood of infidels. The second reason, the um, the wealth which you could bring in through conflict overseas, and then the third reason was some people just desire that adventure. It's just like a victory people desire. I think if you saw the movie Gladiator, it put it very well when Commodus asked his sister Lucilla, why did the people care that his father had conquered Germania, even though they hadn't seen the battles and they had never gone there before? Is because the people actually enjoyed a victory in that time. And in expansionist kingdoms, that's the type of thing people look up to.